Man, this is exciting time to be investing in real estate and maybe even more so just to be educating yourself around the business and being able to learn how to take advantage of all these opportunities. I can't think of a better way to be spending a Saturday morning just networking and growing and learning. I'm all about three things: learning, networking, and growing. And by you being here right now, I can tell that we have a lot in common and we're going to get along just fine. I'm not going to spend too much time going over my bio. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. Like Stacy said, I'm a real estate investor. And what I love about REI USA and this group is that you might not have heard of a lot of these instructors. It's because we're busy doing the business. We're real estate people. And great job, Stacy, for putting together this faculty of teachers and coaches and just an awesome community. I'm really enjoying our time here. And today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is private money lending. I was going through the lineup of all the different things that we're going to be learning this weekend from the different teachers, instructors, and I'm excited. I'm just as excited as you are. I've got my notebook here, but short-term rentals, active income strategies, passive income strategies, so much different little niches. Like my wife, Christy's talking about how we rent to travel nurses and get premium rents, right? So we're learning so many different things. And what's interesting about all of that is those are exit strategies, right? So like once you acquire a property, here's all the different things that you can do with it. And what I get to do today, this morning, is have this huge responsibility of talking about how do we get the money to buy these assets, right? And that's really what I'm going to be talking about is how do we, I'm going to be speaking about money. Like, yes, we're talking about private money lending and things like that, but what I found with private money lending is the more you know about money, the easier it is to gain credibility with your lenders, the easier it is to talk about money, because that's essentially what we're doing with private money. We're talking about money. And right now, if you look at the real estate market, if you ask 10 people, random people, hey, what do you think about the real estate market right now? They're going to say, for lack of a better term, like they're just going to say, well, it's hot. It's hot. Like that's what I hear all the time out there in the marketplace. What's going on with the marketplace? It's hot. But what does that mean? What does it mean to be hot, right? And sometimes I think we throw around that word hot because maybe the person doesn't know what the heck's going on. And I'll tell you, I'll take the minutia out of it, take out the interest rates and supply, demand, and just go 1,000-foot overview of what's going on in the marketplace right now. It's a mad scramble. It's a mad scramble for people to be acquiring assets, to be acquiring houses. And I look at this as a separation of wealth, right? You've probably heard middle class is slowly disappearing, and there's only two places to go, up or down. And by you being here and educating yourself and learning this business and learning how to acquire these assets and hold on to them and cash flow them, flip them, how to earn active income, I truly believe that you're putting yourself in the best position so that, and it doesn't take much. It could just be one or two or three extra houses that a person acquires over the course of their lifetime that sets them up for retirement, that sets their kids up for retirement, that creates the legacy that you want to create. So again, congratulations on being here. I'm excited. And yes, Rachel, we are going to show you the money this morning. We're going to show you the money. So Stacy, I'm going to bring up my screen here. Let's see if I can do this. I got some great slides for you guys, and I'm going to be covering some really cool stuff. So when I teach this, most of the time I could spend a week teaching this, right? And I used to travel all over the country teaching this for 3 days, how to acquire private money lending, how to talk the talk and walk the walk, how to communicate. So now I got to figure out, okay, how am I going to do this in 60 minutes? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break down 7 different ways to establish credibility, right? And sometimes, and I know because I've been there. I'm 38 years old. 10 years ago, when I started to really start farming for private money lenders and raise private money, I was 28. I looked like I was 18. And the little voice that was in my head was, hey, you're too young. Nobody's going to take you serious, right? And I should have started sooner, but sometimes I let this little voice take over. And my fear was, I don't have any credibility. Like I've never done this before, right? So I'm going to give you tips where I made it my mission to be so credible and surround myself with credible people that no one could ever say no to me, right? I put in so much work up front, practicing and doing the tips I'll share with you of how I gain credibility and how you can too, right? And then we're going to talk about how do we create win-win solutions with our private money lenders, the documents that we use, and how to effectively communicate the opportunity that is private money lending, right? And I promise you this will happen. Some of you are on this call right now and you're like, oh, I'm so excited because I'm going to learn how to get money for my deals, right? But what's going to happen is there's going to be a handful of you that at the end of this presentation, you're going to say, you know what? I wanted to get into real estate to own rental property so that I could make great rates of return on my money. But after hearing Noah, I don't know if I want to buy rental property. I want to be a private money lender, right? So you're going to see the opportunity on both ends of it. And I'm going to do my best to teach you how to be a great borrower. And I'm going to do my best to teach you how to be a great lender, if that's what you want to do too, right? So there's lots of options, because I truly believe, guys, that over the last decade, I've developed a superpower. And it's not what you think, right? It's not what you think. But this superpower is just as important as being able to fly is to Superman for real estate investors. And it's not the superpower of being able to raise money, and that the raising the money part is just a byproduct of it. The real superpower that, and the great news is, we can all learn it, we can all have it, we can all attain it, is being able to help people make great rates of return on their money, right? Because what I'm going to share with you right now just simply doesn't exist for any other type of investment opportunity or lending opportunity. You're going to be blown away. So I'm telling you, there's going to be people that are excited, like, oh my gosh, you're going to be able to recognize money everywhere. And there's also going to be people in this group that are like, hey, you know what? I think I might want to be a private money lender one day, right? And that's awesome. So whenever I teach this class, I'm the type of coach and teacher where I like to cover everything that could go wrong. And, you know, it's one thing to talk about everything that could go great in a perfect world, but sometimes things go wrong. But so let's plan for them. And if we plan for them, we get all of our ducks in a row, we know what to do, what moves to make when things don't go perfect. It makes us better investors. It makes us better business owners, right? You guys know that. You're smart. So here's the thing. I'm not just going to share with you what could go perfect. I'll also share with you sometimes what could go wrong and how we get ahead of that, right? So keep in mind, if I share with you a deal or a success of that we did, my wife and I, or one of our private money lenders, like how much we made, just know that was just an example. A person could make less, a person could make more. There's nothing guaranteed, right? I'm also going to share with you how to surround yourself with the right business professionals. So one thing you'll learn about me, like I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed or the crayon in the box, or however the saying goes, right? I studied finance in college. I was just talking about this with Stacy. I couldn't tell you what a PE ratio is. Like, I have no idea. I'd be lying to you if I said I knew what that was and how it affected a business. But what I am really good at is surrounding myself with people who are the experts in their field and having them do the work for me. And so one of the tips I'm going to share with you here in a minute is how I leverage other people's credibility, right? So keep in mind, I'm going to share with you different people to add to your team throughout this presentation. So take notes. I'll say, hey, add this person, add that person, right? And that's my little disclaimer to you guys. Surround yourself with the right business professionals. No deal in real estate's the same. We could make less, we could make more. And I know some of you are thinking, hey, Noah, we get it. Get to the meat and potatoes, right? Get to the meat and potatoes. Well, here's what I'll tell you. This is the meat and potatoes. This is the meat and potatoes. So credibility tip number one, write this down. Surround yourself with business professionals. Surround yourself with business professionals. When I was getting going in my mid 20s, late 20s, trying to figure this thing out, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have credibility. You might be thinking the same thing. I've never done a deal. I saw in the chat box a lot of new investors, right? So what happens when you start to talk about private money and someone says, well, how many deals have you done? So you're telling me I'm going to be the first person to lend you money? What do you say to that? Well, our goal is to hopefully never put ourselves in a position where we feel like, oh my gosh, he's right. So we do all this prep work up front. And if someone asks that, it's okay if you're new, because here's what we're going to do. When I first started raising private money, one of the first people that I went out and found was the top real estate attorney to draw up my paperwork and to conduct our closings. So in our state of South Carolina, we use real estate attorneys for our closings. You may use title companies, right? So you're going to want to add a real estate attorney to your team and know who you're going to go with when you do your closings. So this should be one of the first people that you add to your team, because if a private money lender asks you, okay, so wait, so what do I wire you the money? I think so. I'm not sure. We're going to have our person ironed out of who we're going to work with. So when I first got started, I found a real estate attorney here in Columbia, South Carolina. He wrote the contract for the purchase and sale agreement for the state of South Carolina. So and he had 20 plus years of experience, right? And we did the same thing with our general contractor. We do the same things with our real estate agents. Well, my general contractor, he's licensed, insured. He's been in business over 20 years. Our real estate, go find a GC that you're going to work with. Your real estate agents, your team, who are you going to work with that's going to be helping you buy, helping you sell, to make sure that the properties move and that they get sold, right? So what I would do is I would surround myself with all these people. And then if someone asks, hey, so you're new at this? How many deals have you done? Well, hey, look, I haven't done any deals yet. However, my real estate attorney has over 20 years of experience. He actually wrote the contract for the state of South Carolina. My GC, he's got 25 years of experience. He's licensed and insured in all these different areas. My real estate team, they're number one. They've got over 30 years of experience amongst them. I've got a financial advisor that I can recommend you to. So if you want to use a retirement account, they've helped thousands of people do what you're about to do. My accountant, he's on top, so on and so forth. So I might have a century, maybe even, right? 50 years of real estate experience helping me, right? So surround yourself with the right people, put these people on your team and leverage their experience. Maybe you do an interview with them and put it on YouTube or on your website. Maybe when you meet a private money lender, you hand them something that has a little bio about the team that you surround yourself with, right? So this is a great idea. Surround yourself with the right people, and they're going to keep you safe. And more important than keeping us safe, they're going to keep our lenders safe, because we always put our lender first. So that's number one. Number two, learn and then educate. So I applaud all of you for being here, because you're learning all of these techniques, these strategies. Well, I'm going to teach you about money. And some of you, this might be a review. Others, I might be coming at you like a fire hose, and you're like trying to take notes and frantic. Don't worry, Stacy's recording this, right? REI members, you can go back and watch this. But we learn about money and learn about options for people. So most of our private money lenders that we work with had zero experience private money lending prior to them meeting us. So how did they even learn about it? They learned about it from us. I'm going to share with you at the end some things I say to get people intrigued and interested and wanting to learn more. But a lot of people, if you say, hey, are you interested in being a private money lender? They'd be like, I don't have any money. Where would I get the money? So it's interesting. It's interesting. But we show them how to be resourceful. So for instance, I have two lists here. I have two lists. On the left side, it says resources for buyers. So if I had a little bit more time, we would say, hey, let's do an exercise. I want you guys to think of all the different ways that a person could get money to go buy a house, to go buy a real estate deal. And that list would probably include everything on the left-hand side there, right? Private money lenders, hard money lenders, seller finance, equity line savings, liquidate securities, borrow from a life insurance policy, right? Retirement accounts. You'd probably rattle off those options if to get cash. But if I asked that same question to the same group and said, okay, great, now list off all the different ways that a person could get money to become a private money lender. The list on the screen is nearly identical. But if I ask that to people, ask that to a small group, what they're going to say is, well, I don't know, savings accounts, maybe a retirement account, right? And it might end there. But the truth is, if we can show people how to be creative, we can create money for them, then they can lend on our deals. So, and as I go through this list, some of you are going to be like, oh my gosh, I could do this. Some of you are going to go through this and you're going to say, oh my gosh, I know someone, family member, friend, work colleague that is going through this situation or has this and you're going to be like, so if you start thinking of someone who could potentially be a private money lender for you, write down that name, right? Start jotting down names and creating lists, right? And then go back, and when I'm done with this, I'm going to teach you what to say to them. So start off with seller financing. Seller financing is nothing more than a private money lender. So as you're making offers, as you're getting your deals accepted, every single offer that Christy and I make, we also put in an offer, the ability for that person, the seller, to seller finance us the property. Now, why would they do that? What are you talking about, Noah? Well, let's say I'm buying a house and I know that the person owns it free and clear. Maybe they inherited it or whatever. And I'm buying it, let's say for $200,000. Well, I know that that person is going to get $200,000 at closing. So I'll ask the seller, I have enough rapport with them, and I'll say, hey, what are you going to do with all this money? Hey, 200 grand, good for you. What are you going to do with all this money? And if they don't have a plan for it, if they're like, well, I'm just going to put it in savings, I'm going to maybe pay off a credit card or debt or stick the rest in the savings account. If they don't have a plan for it, then I'm going to show them a plan for it. So I might say something like this. I might say, hey, look, instead of just sitting it in a savings account, earning 0.5%, how would you like to make 10% on your money over the next 6 months or so? And they're going to say, well, what do you mean? And then I'm going to say, well, look, I'm going to have a private money lender fund this purchase for us. I'm paying them 10% on their money. What if I just paid you 10% and you walked away with much more? Would you be interested in something like that? Would you be interested in learning more? And they're like, yeah, tell me more about how that works. Now, let's just say now the seller knows where, or the seller wants their money. They're like, you know what? I'm going to hang on to the cash. I'm not interested in that. Cool. I still know that they got 200 grand sitting in a savings account. So what am I going to do? I'm going to fix up the house, renovate it, invite them back for an open house, give them a tour, show them the beautiful job that we did renovating the property. And then I'm going to say, hey, remember when I told you I paid the person 10% rate of return on their money to fund this flip? Yeah, I do remember that. Hey, if you're ever interested, let me know. This is the type of product that we put out, right? So that's just one way of doing it. Home equity line of credit. A lot of people use home equity lines of credit to buy real estate, right? But what if you borrowed from your home equity line of credit at 4% or whatever your rate is, and then turned around and lent it out at 12%, and you made an 8% spread? So some people are like, no, I love this idea of private money lending, but I don't have any money. Well, do you own your home free and clear? Do you have equity in your house? Yeah. Do you have a home equity line of credit? Have you ever thought about setting that up, borrowing at 4 and then lending out at 12? So we're showing them, we're teaching them. And if we're the ones that are teaching them, there's so much credibility with that, because we don't learn this stuff in grade school, high school, or college, right? We're taught what? Go to school, save, right? Which brings us to the next one, savings. What's a savings account paying right now? 0.5%, 1%, right? Liquidating securities, taking a look at where they're at right now and saying, hey, am I really doing well with this annuity? Does it make sense? Whatever, right? And getting with their financial planner and figuring out what their options are. Business lines of credit. My wife and I, Christy, who's going to be teaching tomorrow, we're big believers in life insurance policies. So we fund life insurance policies. We borrow from ourselves. If we have an opportunity, people can do that too. Borrow from your life insurance at 5-6%, lend it out at 12, make a 6% spread with money that was just sitting there anyways. And then the big one here, I would say probably 50% of our private money lenders use retirement accounts. And the type of retirement account is self-directed, right? Now, I'm not a financial planner, so put this on your list. Find a reputable financial planner, someone who specializes in self-directed retirement accounts. Because what's happening right now, and we see it every day, especially with COVID, people who have worked at their jobs for a really long time, they're retiring, or maybe they were furloughed, or maybe they're just like sick of like having to, work with the mask. And they're like, you know what? I'm out. I'm done. I got enough. I'm in retirement. I'm gonna figure out how to take my nest egg and make it last and make it work. Those are prime candidates for potential private money lenders, but they have to be set up in a position with their retirement account to be able to lend it, right? So if we know of a company and people that can roll that over properly, so where they can now go buy real estate, so they can now go become a private money lender, it's a great win-win situation. So here's my advice. In your mind, I have this I have this gift, and it's a curse. It's a gift and a curse. And so every single person that I meet, I put them in one of two categories. They're either a lender today or they're a lender tomorrow. And it's just out of habit. Like it doesn't matter where I'm at. I could be at my kid's soccer game. I could be at a networking event. It could be in this group on this webinar. It could be in our Facebook group, and just anyone that I'm talking to, I'm like, God, they would be a great private money lender. I can help them. And that's the mentality. We can help them, right? Become a great borrower, put your lender first, help people make great rates of return on their money. So private money lending is one piece of the puzzle. Now I'll share with you this. If you Google private money lenders, right? And I've been to like webinars and things like that where someone says, hey, just Google, how do I find private money lenders? Well, try Google private money lender. Well, what happens with private money lenders, if you Google it, is you're going to get a million results, but lots of times the overwhelming majority of those results are going to be really hard money lenders. So what's the difference between a hard money lender and a private money lender? For this session here of learning and talking about private money, when I say private money lender, I'm referring to a person, right? You and me. I'm referring to a person. So hard money is more institutional, where people will dump money into a fund and then someone manages the fund and figures out where all the money goes, right? So there's a difference between that and working one-on-one with a friend, family member, work colleague, a fellow investor, someone you met at a networking event that you have a relationship with. Okay, so just know the difference. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but what I will tell you is why I love private money lending and why other people love private money lending. And because sometimes hard money can be a little bit tough. So there's different situations to use each, and we use them both all the time. So here's the deal: private money lenders, they can act fast, right? So how quickly how long does it take for someone to wire money, right? And now when you get to the relationships, you start doing this a bunch of times with the same person over and over and over again, the trust factor goes up. They understand the system more. So as soon as can you tell I'm excited? As soon as the title work comes back clear, we can wire funds, right? So we can act fast. Negotiable rates. So this isn't like walking into a bank or Wells Fargo and they're like, hey, here are our rates. When we're working with private money lenders, we can set the rates. We set the rates, right? And we can negotiate too. There's some deals where Christy and I will have a very big profit that we're going to be making. So we pay our lenders more. There's some opportunities where it's a real quick one, like slam bam, paint carpet type of deal. So the profit might not be really big, but the fact that it's only going to take 30, 60 days, we'll do the deal, make a quick 20 grand or something like that. On those opportunities, we might pay our private money lenders a little bit less, right? So it's negotiable, right? It's negotiable. This is the biggest one, the reason why I love private money lending as opposed to hard money lenders. So the next one, purchase price plus repair costs. So when I'm doing a flip, I'm borrowing all of the money that I need for the most of the time for our purchase price and for the repair costs. If we were to work with a hard money lender, the hard money lender will come in and say, okay, look, Noah, we're going to give you 60, 70, or 80% of the value of the contract or ARV or whatever. You're going to have to come up with a down payment. We're going to give you all the money that you need for the repairs, but those repairs are going to be given to you in draws. So you're going to pay your contractors, you're going to submit the invoices, and every, you'll set it up where it's like every 10, 15, 20 grand or whatever, you submit to us for a draw. We look at your invoices. We'll send out a home inspector to make sure that you did the work you said you did. And you're paying for that. And then we'll wire you the funds. So hard money is great because they got deep pockets. They understand our business. They understand what we do. But you're most likely going to have to bring some money to the table or be in a position where you have a down payment or at least money to float for your rehab until you get your draws back, right? And if for someone that's just starting out, that might not be an option. Whereas private money lending, they're not gonna do that. Could a private money lender have those terms? Absolutely. We have private money lenders where they only lend for the purchase price, and we got to figure out the repairs. That's okay. But when I'm borrowing money, we look at borrowing the entire amount that we need for the project. Next up, no credit checks. So I've never had a private money lender check my credit, ever. No one's ever even asked. Isn't that crazy? And I don't care what a hard money lender says. Hard money lenders always check your credit that I've experienced. Maybe they don't do it every single time, but I've had hard money lender check my credit up front, gone a year lending us on different projects. And then at the end of the year, they're like, all right, time for your annual credit check or whatever. So no credit checks with private lenders. Loans don't show up on the credit report. So this is good. So if I have multiple flips going on, and I'm also looking to refinance a property, that they aren't messing with that refinance, right? They're in different buckets. Relationship driven and the opportunity to help people. And this is huge. So if you're like me and you like helping people, forget the real estate part. You know what's the most rewarding about this? Is taking someone and helping them figure out how they can retire faster, like by giving them options of how to make double-digit rates of return on their money. That's what's powerful in this business. That's what's most rewarding. So treat our lenders are people that we now hold dear. Think about this: like someone entrusted their retirement with you, and you're able to fund it or to make that a good decision. It's the most rewarding thing in the world, I think, when it comes to business. All right, so credibility tip number 3. This is huge. I told you number 1 was everything. I don't know, maybe it's number 3. Mindset is everything. Mindset is everything. So, and when I say mindset is everything, I don't mean like have a positive mindset, don't quit, whatever. Like, no, here's what I mean by that. Go into this. Like, I've never, ever, ever had to get on my hands and knees and said, oh, please. Oh, I hope I get this loan. Oh, I please give me this money. Never had to do that in my life. And I never will. Right? Because here's the thing. People need us just as much as we need them. It's a two-way street. So I don't know anywhere else where someone can make a double-digit rate of return on their money and have it secured by a hard asset. And if they're loaning 150 grand, that 150 grand is secured by a $225,000 asset. I just don't know where else that's possible. And so I'm not begging people for money. In fact, I really believe that people should be begging me to lend to me, right? And that's the mindset that we have. We're not nobody's doing us a favor, lending us money. I mean, this is an opportunity for them to make a great rate of return. So remember that, right? Hold posture. We're able to serve. We're able to help people. This is not something that we're begging. And it kills me. I'm like, oh, and I see on Facebook someone that makes a post about needing I need private money. I need a loan. I want it. Whenever you use those words like I need, it's a turnoff, right? So I don't need anything. You don't need anything, right? You have an opportunity. So remember that, right? Remember that. Adopt that mindset. Because look, guys, if someone were to stick money in a bank right now, in a savings account, and they're earning 1%, right? This is a table. Now, I would, if I were sitting in this room right now, listening to this, I would take a screenshot of this. I would make one of these. I'd put it on your website. I'd put it in a packet that you hand someone. I would show this to anyone that's interested in learning how to make money with their money. Now, this isn't like this is what you're going to make. This is an example of how compound interest works. So if someone were to take their money and putting it in a savings account, a CD, annuity, they're making 1%. They're basically just like their money's dying. Their money's dead. It's like there's no value there. They can't keep up with inflation, right? But if someone has the ability to make a higher rate of return, and as you can see there, I've got 2 columns, 6% and 12%. Now we're talking, right? At 6%, at year 12, their money has started to double. At the 12% rate, a person's money has started to double during year 6. So and here's what's cool about this, guys. Our superpower, what's our superpower? Our superpower is being able to help people make great rates of return on their money by becoming lenders to us, right? Because we're great borrowers. So the difference between somebody making the difference between a lot of my private money lenders making 1% with their money and making 12% of their money is us. Like a lot of them never knew this opportunity existed. And if we hadn't introduced them to it or talked about it or given them the opportunity to lend to us, they'd be in that 1% column. But because we have the education, we're learning, we're becoming great borrowers, we can now help people get over to the right side and into the 12% column, right? So this is powerful stuff, right? Just imagine over time how impactful the financial education is of learning how to go from 1 to 12, right? So here's some common terms because everyone always asks, hey, what do you do? Like, how much is too much? Here's what I'd say about interest rates. Whenever I'm interviewing someone, I don't want to overpay. We also don't want to underpay. So whenever I'm interviewing someone and I say, hey, I'm talking to them about their financial goals. I say, hey, how's your money working for you right now? And if someone says, well, it's in a savings account, I just, inherited some money or whatever, like I just don't know what to do with it. It's in a savings account. When I know savings account, that tells me, okay, that, they're probably making 1% or less, right? It's really, nothing. So then I'm not going to go and try to like offer them 14% rate of return on their money. So that same person would be stoked to be able to get like an 8 to 10% rate of return on their money. At the same time, if I'm talking to an investor and they're pretty savvy and I'm like, hey, what do you do for a living? And they're like, oh, I'm a day trader. Oh, that's super cool. How many computer screens you got in your office? Oh, I got 5, and now I know, okay, this guy, they know what they're doing. They could probably beat 8 to 10% rate of return on their money. So I'm not going to offer them 8 to 10. I might say, hey, we go anywhere from 10 to 12%. If you're ever looking to diversify, it's secured by a hard asset. So it's a different angle, right? So what interest rate is right to use, that's up to you and the person that you're talking to. But it's all about how do we create a win-win situation. Now, the type of interest, when we're setting up our loans and we're emailing our real estate attorney to draw up the notes and all this stuff, it's simple interest, it's annualized interest. So for instance, what does that mean? If I'm paying someone a 12% interest rate, we'll use 12 because it's very simple because there's 12 months in the year. If I'm paying someone a 12% interest rate, that means that in order to get the full 12%, I'm going to have their money for the entire year. Right. So now if it was just 6 months, if the flip took 6 months, then they wouldn't have earned the full 12. They'd earn half of that, right? They'd earn 6%. So now you might come across some instances, and this is how we have ours set up. I don't play, sometimes lenders can be confused. They're like, wait, so I'm going to make 12% no matter what? No, that's not how this works, right? But if we continue to put your money back to work, lend on other deals, right, then you're getting closer to that amount, maybe more if we include points, which is the third bullet point there. So a point are really, we use those for short-term loans. So if I know that a project is going to take 2 months or 3 months, or let's say I'm doing a wholesale deal and let's say I'm doing a wholesale deal and the wholesale deal is going to take 30 days. I'm going to buy a property and then turn right around and sell it. That private money lender isn't going to be like, oh, why would I do that for 1%? Like, am I going to get the 12%? No, you would get paid for the time that you had the money. So I would throw in points, and a point is a 1 to 2% fee in addition to their annualized rate of return. Now, if I'm doing multiple projects over the course of the year, every time that person's lending money, they're getting 1 or 2 points, or however we set it up, right? The type of loans that we're doing are balloon loans. And we always set our lenders up with a 12-month balloon. So even if I think that a project's going to take 6 months, even if I think that a project's going to take 8 months, 4 months, we always do 12-month balloon loans. Why? Because I want to make sure that I'm under promising and over delivering. I see sometimes, like, especially with like hard money lenders, they might say, hey, this is a 6-month term. And in my mind, I'm thinking, man, they're setting that person up for failure. Who can, 6-month time for a flip, like, what if you run a permitting issue? So always give yourself that extra time. So what that balloon loan means is that at the end of the 12 months, all the money's due. So we're either going to refinance if it's a rental property that we're keeping, or we're going to list the property for sale and sell it, right? Monthly interest payments or interest paid at the end. So how do people get paid? What's really cool about private money, you guys, is we can help people however they want to be helped. So if I have someone that is looking for private money lending to be a way for them to supplement their income, to create monthly cash flow, then I might pay them their interest payment monthly. If I'm working with someone who travels all over the world and doesn't really want to be on top of their finances and things like that, like they just rather get paid at the end to keep it simple, we can do that too, right? For those of you that are thinking about becoming private money lenders, I'll give you a really a good strategy here to help keep you safe, right? So listen up. This is really good. I would request payments to be made monthly if I was the lender, because here's why. Let's say I just lent money on a deal and all of a sudden that person, for whatever reason, was experiencing like a financial hardship, like something freak happened in their life or something like that. And the project got put on hold. Something crazy happened, right? Which could happen. if I wasn't getting monthly payments and I was just getting all the money at the end of my 12-month term, I would have to wait 12 months before I could start that foreclosure process, before I could like try to recoup my money. But if a person missed a monthly payment, I can start the foreclosure process right away. So just something to keep in mind. But we work with our lenders and we give them whatever they want. 4 critical docs. 4 critical docs. I'm going to share with you what those are on the next slide. But I got a little asterisk here. It says research your state laws. So each state has usury laws that limit the amount of interest that a lender can charge. So I would put on your to-do list to research your state and figure out how much interest a private money lender can charge or make. This is also very important if you are thinking about lending, because you don't want to be in a position where you're lending at a rate of 12% when the state you're lending in is only allows 10. Because even if you feel like there's no wrongdoing and the borrower is agreed to it and wanted to do it, maybe they're the ones that brought you that opportunity. If for some reason things go wrong with your project or with your deal and you go to foreclose on it, you're as the lender, a judge, a person making the decision is going to say, well, you're charging a rate of 12% and we only limit our state limits 10. You could be looked at as like a predatory lender or something like that. So figure out what the laws are in your state. It's only going to make you a better borrower, and it's going to add credibility to you as well if you know that type of information, right? All right, tip number 4, follow the rules. Follow the rules. So I see this all the time when I was teaching trainings and classes where, there'd be like a family at the event or friends, and they'd be like, oh, hey, we're all going to chip in money and go do a deal. And you have to be very cautious when it comes to pooling funds. Like, this is not what I'm teaching you right now. This is not what we do. We also do not offer or advertise rather a guaranteed rate of return. So I'm not posting on Facebook, guaranteed 12%. That's a huge red flag with the SEC, and it's not something that we do or something that we teach. What we do is we set people up with debt positions, right? So we're not pooling funds and everyone has an equity share and there's one person that makes the decision. That's called syndication. And I think there's someone this weekend that's teaching syndication, or there's a recording of it from the previous big event that we did last time. It was awesome. What we're doing is we're giving someone a debt position. We're giving them a mortgage or a deed of trust. And so it's much, much different. So just know that. If anyone's asking, hey, are you pooling funds? Absolutely not, right? Absolutely. No. We don't do that. That's not what we do, right? This is what we do. Credibility tip number 5. We protect our lenders and we protect them with the 4 critical documents. 4 critical documents. This is probably, okay, I know I said number 1, number 3, number 4 was probably the most important. This is by far the most important way to establish credibility and also to keep you and your lenders safe. Number 1, we're going to have a promissory note. So there's no handshake deals here, guys. No handshake deals. We're going to have a promissory note. A promissory note is going to outline all the terms of the loan, how they're getting paid back, when they're getting paid back. And oh, by the way, who do you think is going to be writing this up? Is it going to be you or your real estate attorney? Every single time, the real estate attorney is going to be doing this stuff, right? So we're going to have a promissory note. Now, I've met people who think that just because they have a promissory note that their money is safe and that they did things the right way. Wrong. Like, don't stop there. That's just the first step. If a person's lending money and all they have is a promissory note and they don't have any real collateral, good luck. That's scary. Don't ever do that, right? So the second document is going to be our security. This is going to be a lien that's placed on the property. So no one can sell the property. If something goes astray, we can foreclose. We can try to take back the property if we're the lender. And so we're going to have either a mortgage or a deed of trust, right? Depending on which state you're operating in. So if you're brand new and you're like, I don't know, do we do mortgage, do we deed of trust? Look it up. So we have a promissory note, a mortgage, or a deed of trust. And then we're going to list our lender on the insurance as the loss payee. So if anything should happen, like a fire or something, their money is still safe. Their money is protected. This is really important, right? So it takes 10 seconds to do this. Yet I see people not do this, right? Now, what's crazy and super cool at the same time is that most of the people that you're talking to about becoming private money lenders are familiar with all of these things. They just don't realize it. So I might ask a potential private money lender, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Private Money Lender, do you own a house? Yeah. Okay, cool. Remember when you went to the closing and you signed the documents that were like this thick? There was a promissory note there. Yep. There was a mortgage. You signed your mortgage. Yep. Yep. And then the insurance. You got insurance and you listed the bank as the lost payee. And do you remember doing that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember doing that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. And now you'll see the light bulbs go off. You're like, oh my gosh. So you're telling me now I get to be the bank? Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's the same process. We do the same thing for you as that your bank wanted, right? And the last one is a personal guarantee. And I've been taught to me as this being optional. You don't have to do a personal guarantee, things like that. We always do personal guarantees. And if someone asks you for a personal guarantee, do it. I would do it every single time because I'm not going to go buy a house that I'm not 110% confident I can go out, flip, make money, pay back my lender with and their principal and their interest, right? And lots of times when you're talking to a potential lender, especially if it's the first time, that lender might say, let me run this by my attorney and just to make sure everything's good. And 9 times out of 10, their attorney will say, hey, you should get a personal guarantee attached to this as well. So just do it. Just offer it. It's no big deal, right? Because lots of times we're buying houses in our LLCs or businesses. So they'll want a personal guarantee attached to that. No big deal, right? We offer it every single time. So here's what I would get good at. I would take a snapshot of this, picture this, and I would practice in the mirror saying this 1,000 times. Because if you want credibility, this is how you get it. Being able to say this, roll it off the tip of your tongue, just like you're telling someone your address or your phone number. Mr. and Mrs. Private Money Lender, what do we do? See, what we do is we give you a promissory note, we give you a mortgage, we list you on the insurance as a lost payee in case there's a fire or something like that. We even provide personal guarantees, right? These 4 documents help keep you safe and allow the house to be the collateral on the deal, right? So every single time, don't skip it. If you skip it, the one time you skip one of these is the one time that ends up hurting you, right? Unfortunately, that's how life is sometimes. So every single time, we're going to use these documents. All right, credibility tip number 6. Know your business model. This is huge. Know your business model. My wife was teaching a young lady came down, hung out, stayed with us for 5 days, and crushing it in Wisconsin of all places. And I kept asking her, "What's your business model? What's your business model? What's your business model?" And we were just grilling it. Know this like the back of your hand. What's your business model? So pick it out. What does this mean? No, what does this mean? Okay, so I'm gonna start by saying, hey, pick your neighborhoods that you're gonna be flipping houses in. Some of you might already have this. Some of you, I don't know where to start. Pick your neighborhoods, pick your zip codes, pick 1 or 2 neighborhoods, and figure out the price points in those neighborhoods, right? What's your sweet spot? What's your bread and butter, right? This is ours. So what Christy and I love to do, a lot of neighborhoods that we flip in, the after repair value of the houses when they're all fixed up, we're listing them for around between 200 and 250. So just let's call it 225, right? So in order to be able to fix up the house, make money, running our formulas, that means that we're buying these houses for 100 grand. We know these neighborhoods. We know how old the house is. We know we have a good idea of like what we're going to replace, how much it costs to renovate them to our liking and to the consumer's liking is going to be around $50,000. So all in, our total loan is 150, right? Or the total amount needed to do this deal for the purchase price and the repair costs, 150 grand. So if someone is asking me, hey, so tell me a little bit about like what you do, like what's your business model or whatever, I'll say, hey, well, what we do is we buy houses for 100. We put 50 into them, and a person's $150,000 loan is secured by a $225,000 asset. And if you really want to like drive it home and get them thinking, then say this, just like a bank. Say those 4 words afterwards, just like a bank would want, right? We give them a promissory note, a mortgage, insurance, personal guarantee, just like a bank. We buy houses at 100, we'll put 50 into them. A person's $150,000 investment is secured by a $225,000 asset. This should roll off the tip of your tongue. We want to know this, like because here's the thing: if we're talking to people about private money, and I'm gonna give you an elevator pitch here in a minute on the next slide. If we're talking to people about what we do, like nobody understands wholesaling. You don't want to get into the ins and outs of how to renovate or rehab or, talk about real estate. I don't want to talk about real estate. What do? I buy houses for 100 and put 50 into them. Person's $150,000 investment secured by a $225,000 asset. So find out your numbers. Find out your numbers and practice saying this. Practice saying this, right? So this is a perfect example. When I talk about our sweet spot, this is our sweet spot, right? See, Mr. and Mrs. Lender, what we're going to be doing on this deal, we're going to be buying it for 95. Our renovation budget's 35. So a person's $130,000 loan is going to be secured by a $200,000 asset, right? And so as I'm explaining this opportunity to this lender, that's what I'm saying. Like, oh my gosh, so you're telling me I'm going to lend 130 grand and it's secured. Yeah. How is it secured? What we do is we give you a promissory note, outlines the terms of the loan. We give you a mortgage. We list you on the insurance as the lost payee. And we also offer personal guarantees, just like a bank. Dang. Right. Now, this is what that lender made. And we held the property for 153 days. They were at a 12% annualized rate of return. They earned $6,500 and some change. And so when we sold the property, we paid them off. We gave them back their principal of 130 plus the interest that they earn. And some of you might be in higher price points. Some of you might be in lower price points. I got a lower price point on the next slide because it's the same lender. So after she did this deal, we rolled it right over into this deal, right? This one is a little bit less interest earned, but remember, it's negotiable. We want to create win-win situations. So our potential profit was a little bit less. So we had to come down a little bit, but her money is consistently working for her. If she said, I don't want to do that deal, I'm just going to put it in my savings account until a better one comes along. Okay, that's great, but that could be another 3 months, 4 months. If you put your money right back to work at 10, you're consistently compounding. So what do you want to do? All right, I'll do 10. All right. So we bought, so Mr. and Mrs. Lender, in this case, see what we do is we buy in this house for 64. Our rental budget's 31. So your $95,000 loan is going to be secured by an asset that's $134,000 asset, right? Pretty good, pretty safe, collateralized deal. So this took 103 days. She earned almost $2,700, and her total payoff paid her back her principal plus her interest was almost $98,000, which is pretty cool, right? Simple, easy breezy. All right, credibility tip number 7: practice. Practice your elevator pitch. Now I'm gonna share with you, what to say here on the next slide, but this is how I spark interest in private money lending. And you can do this anywhere. You can do this at the grocery store. You can do this at your kids' soccer, hockey games, whatever, football. Anyone that you meet, remember, everyone that we meet is either a lender today or a lender tomorrow. So if you have the opportunity to have this conversation, have it. So I'm genuinely, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm genuinely fascinated by what other people do for a living. I think real estate's boring, right? Because I do it. But I'm genuinely fascinated by the person that said, you know what, I want to be a firefighter and went out and did it. I'm genuinely fascinated by the person that said, hey, you know what, I want to help people. I want to be a nurse. Wow, tell me about that, right? So I've created this habit of always asking people like, hey, what do you do for a living? So as you can see, I'm going to say, hey, nice to meet you. Yeah, how's it going? If we're at a soccer game, hey, which grandson's yours or whatever? Which kid's yours? So I'll ask them, hey, what do you do for a living? What do you do for a living? And they'll say, hey, well, I'm a nurse. Oh, wow, you're a nurse. How long have you been doing that? Right. And I'm fascinated by it. But I'm also, my mind's been trained to know that, hey, if someone's been in their profession 20 or 30 years, they're probably over it. And if they have a corporate job or some sort of job, like they've probably got retirement and they're trying to figure out their exit plan. What am I going to do next? Right. Probably like a lot of you on this call, like getting into real estate. What am I going to do? And so they'll tell me, and then I just be quiet. Just be quiet. Don't say anything, right? Don't make it about you. Just be quiet. And then what they're going to do is they're going to ask, well, how about you? What do you do? And at that moment, open door. So instead of saying I'm in real estate, I fix up houses, we do wholesales, and it's you just sell the contract and it's okay and it's not like instead of doing all that, all I say is, have you ever seen the TV show Flip This House? You ever seen the house flipping shows on TV? And everyone has, who hasn't, right? And they'll say, yeah, I have. And then that's when we say, I do that. And we're just quiet. And now their mind's thinking, they're like, oh my gosh, like that's a real thing. Like people really do that. And 9 times out of 10, this is what I get. Oh my God, I've always wanted to do that. Or, oh my God, tell me more about that, right? People are fascinated by what we do as real estate investors. I've always wanted to do that. Well, now here's what's cool. Now we ask them, hey, what's been stopping you? What's been stopping you, right? Put that in your notes because it's not on the screen. What's been stopping you? And 9 times out of 10, it's, well, I don't know how, or I'm busy at my career, or I don't have the money. They think they don't have a way to fund it or whatever, right? Because you hear on the news, you got to have cash, you know, so they don't know what we know, right? Second slide, right? All the different ways you can get money. They don't know this stuff. So we're going to teach them. So then what I say is, hey, look, you know, you don't have to necessarily have the time or have the education. I can teach you along the way, kind of like what I do. See, what we do is we use private money lenders to fund our flips, and we pay them anywhere from 10 to 12% rates of return on their money. If you're ever interested in putting your money to work, let me know. And then I would just be quiet. And if you're in an environment where you're probably going to see that person again at a soccer game or work or a networking event, I promise you this, they're going home that night and they're thinking about that. They're thinking about 10 to 12% and how you got a cool career and they got to go to work Monday morning. They're thinking about it. So next time you see them, they're going to ask you about it. Hey, tell me more. How's real estate going? Right. And then the idea here is to set up a meeting. We have a relationship with them. Let's set up a meeting at a time where we can discuss it more. Right. So here's the elevator pitch. I got 3 minutes. And we learned this already, right? We learned this, but I would practice this over and over and over again. So, oh my God, what do you do for a living? I do this. I've always wanted to do that. Why haven't you? I don't know how. Well, what I do is I pay people great rates of return. You can learn a little bit while you're lending on our deals, and you're making 10, 12% rate of return on your money. You don't have to know how to swing a hammer. Wow. Tell me more. Well, what we do is we buy houses for 100. We make $50,000 in repairs, and a person's $150,000 loan is secured by a $225,000 asset. What? How have I never heard of this before? Yeah, we gave each lender a mortgage, a promissory note. We list them on the insurance as a loss payee. We do personal guarantees, just like a bank, probably just like the paperwork you signed when you bought your house. Oh, so you're telling me I can be the bank? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And we pay our lenders a great rate of return. It's secured by a hard asset. People love it, right? And then just let them marinate. Right? They'll want to learn more. And when they learn more, you guys, that's when we set up a meeting. We'll go to Starbucks, sit down at our house, whatever, and we go from there, right? So there's so much to learn. What do you say during this meeting? How's that all work out? Stacy, I think I'm going to do a video or maybe at the next South Carolina meetup, super group event, webinar, maybe we talk about what that meeting looks like and all the steps when we have a little bit more time. But if I have time for questions, I'd take them. Or whatever you want to do, Stacy, just let me know.
We have a couple of questions real fast.
Okay.
Do you have an investors package that you give all of your investors, or do you just get a meeting with them?
Yeah. So again, the more credibility that we have, the stronger we're going to be, the better position we're going to be. And I love that idea of having an investor packet or credibility packet or something that we can hand them. So, you know, here's what the answer to that question is yes. And especially if you're new. So I would have something that outlines who you are, the types of properties that you buy, the neighborhoods, who's your team, right? Your attorney, your agent, all that stuff, all your professionals, so who's in your inner circle, right? Your coaches, right? That you work with that are looking over your shoulder. I would include how the 4 critical documents, how their money's safe, how their money's protected. And I would put all of that into some sort of PDF that you can email them or hand them when you sit down with them. And when I sit down with them at the meeting, I'm going to ask them if they read through it. If they read through it, then 9 times out of 10, I don't have to go through a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about at the meeting because they understand it. But now, and I would also put that stuff on your website if you're brand new. So now they go on your website, because what's the first thing people do? Like they Google you, right? Is this person real or whatever? So let them find it, email them something. Then you're talking about it in person. And I would encourage them to call your attorney. hey, if you have any questions, please reach out to my team. They're amazing. They love to take great care of you. And then when they call the attorney's going to say, yeah, we work with him all the time, or we do this all the time. This is what we do. So yes.
Okay. When you do a balloon, you increase the percentage after 12 months and points, or just percentage? Or
Yeah, that's a great question. So what, oh my gosh, what happens when it's been longer than the term? And that's why I try to do 12 months, because I don't want to go through that. But on all of our loans, when we set them up, we do a 3% extension fee that goes to our lenders. But you can do that, whatever you guys agree on. You set the rules, right? You get to pick. So me personally, it's a 3% fee to extend 3 months. That's how we have ours set up.
Okay, love it. Everything's negotiable.
Everything's in life's a negotiation, right?
Okay, how much do real estate attorneys generally cost? Are they paid up front?
Yeah, so I pay our attorneys at closing. So it just goes on the CD or the HUD.
Just goes right.
And what's cool is when I first started, we had an attorney. He was super cheap, and we were doing hard money. And then when I shifted, and I was like, I need to get more private money. If I'm going to grow this thing, I need more private money. And so we moved attorneys, and my wife was like, gosh, this guy's expensive. I go, yeah, but everybody knows him. He's got the reputation, right? And so we went and we started doing that, paying more. Once I had credibility and a name for ourselves and a track record, now I work with an attorney who's a little smaller, but because we bring her so much volume, she doesn't even charge us for drawing up the documents.
Yeah, exactly. Once you start using an attorney over and over again, the fee even goes down. So, okay. All right. So tell everybody the thing is y'all could just hang out with Noah every single month, right? So that's the whole point of REI USA. So tell them when you have your training sessions.
Yeah. Third Thursday, guys, my wife and I at 8:00, the third Thursday of every month. And you guys will meet Christy Duckett Harris here this weekend. She's the rock star coach. We put on an incredible show. You get a 2-for-1 with us, right?
Exactly.
So there's a husband-wife vibe to it. Christy's amazing. So make sure you tune into her session here as well. But it's every third Thursday at 8, South Carolina Supergroup.
What time is it?
8:00.
8 p.m. EST, Eastern time. So whatever
8 p.m.
that is.
EST.
Yeah. And so, okay, so unshare your screen real fast.
Yep.
Thanks. And yeah, so you can, and then also he's in the private Facebook group. So you can always tag him if you have any questions. All the teachers are all in the private Facebook group. So you could always tag them and then ask them questions. Noah's really good about answering everybody as well too. So you guys can get a hold of him that way. Okay.